All right. Hey, welcome everybody. My name is Sam, and thank you for joining the Homeschool Connect Expo. We are live on Facebook group and Facebook page and YouTube live as well. And so during this time, if you want to ask a question, join in the conversation that we're getting ready to have, please feel free to. We'll be able to see all your questions and comments. Today, I am going to be speaking with Damon Evans, and he's with the Film School for Teens. And I love the space. I love the creative part. I love what he is doing, and trying to get homeschoolers and teens involved in filmmaking and what that really means. So we'll get into that with him. But first, let me bring him up. Damon, hey, welcome. Welcome to the live expo. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell us some more about you?
Thank you. Thanks for this opportunity. Yes, my name is Damon Evans. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, where I am right now. I have a large family, a medium-sized family, 4 kids. Of course, my wife. My kids are 2 in college now, 2 in high school, 3 girls and a boy. I'm a filmmaker by trade. I run a couple of different businesses, and the filmmaking business I've been doing for over 25 years. Creating a lot of TV commercials and promotional media for different organizations. I work in a couple of strong niches. One of them is nonprofits, serving nonprofit organizations that are working around the world. So I've had the privilege of traveling to about 50 countries with camera equipment and a crew to capture some of this vital work. And then my job is to kind of bring all that footage back and tell stories to move the needle for those needy countries and for individuals over here who have the means to help with that. So a really interesting and varied filmmaking career. Throughout that journey, doing kind of the promotional stuff, I developed a really deep passion for narrative storytelling, narrative films. I always loved movies, who doesn't? But making them, and when I had kids, I was getting pressure from not only my kids, but my nephews and nieces, because I had the gear and I had the know-how. So we just started making movies, and we eventually started calling them cabin fever films because we had a little cabin up in northern Arizona where we'd go with no internet, TV. We did electricity, no sewage, but we made movies, a lot of short films, and we made a lot of them. And throughout the years, I just developed that skill, and then started making more official. Now I do one sizable independent film per year. So that's a lot about me and our family and what we're about. Then at a certain point in time when our kids were being homeschooled, we recognized this missing piece in the homeschool world, but really in the whole world, for teens to use the technology that they have available to them to its full potential, to tell stories, to influence people and really change the world through film. So we developed a curriculum. We developed a company called Film School for Teens. And underneath that banner, we have now got 4 different courses to teach different aspects of filmmaking. Our flagship course is Intro to Filmmaking, 18 sections worth of high school credit. It teaches filmmaking, film history, film analysis. After that, we have Advanced Filmmaking. That's weekly mentoring from me right now. Ultimately, it will be from other filmmakers as mentors. So weekly, you're meeting live, like in this setting, like a Zoom setting. Then we have YouTube for Teens, because of a lot of our students were expressing interest in YouTube. So we leveraged that interest to teach them entrepreneurialism, because if you're going to start and grow a YouTube channel, it's really just the principles of entrepreneurialism at play. So we leveraged their interest in being internet famous, and try and just give them sound, solid, timeless principles of starting and growing any kind of entrepreneurial venture. And then just this summer, we released Acting for the Screen. I grew up as an actor. My parents were actors. So that's my first love. And I found a really cool way to teach screen acting, like virtually, like through a video series where there is no instructor. Are there limitations? Of course. You won't become a master of that craft without being in a show, working, with an acting coach. But we teach you all of these principles and give you exercises to do just on your own, which is helpful right now, to grow significantly in that craft.
Okay. All right. Looking through, the website and your booth there, Homeschool Connect Expo, what I love about it is you do teach the buttons and some of the technology part of it, but on an overview, I love that you teach more about, the story and about the reasoning behind it, because the technology changes and everything else, but part of filmmaking doesn't, and that you can use your iPhone. You don't have to go out and buy a red camera. And if anybody knows what a red camera is, that's $25,000 to $45,000 camera,
right?
Because the iPhone, I mean, it's sometimes when you do side by side, it's hard to tell on some shots if you know what you're doing. So
nobody has a gear problem. No one has a gear problem. When you and I were young, if we wanted to make a movie, we had gear problems.
Yes.
So we spend all of our time just dreaming of the story we wanted to tell. We just couldn't really do it because I didn't have a video camera. My dad had one in his office, and I begged him to bring it home one weekend. And when he brought it home, it's not just a camera, but a whole separate thing that recorded the videotape.
Yeah.
And so we shot a bunch of films one weekend, and then
editing,
you either edit in camera and shoot in sequence, or you borrow grandma's VCR and you string the cables across the room, and you get your sibling to hit play while you hit record on the other deck, and it's that whole game. So we did not we had a gear problem.
Yes.
And today's generation does not have a gear problem. They just have a know-how problem.
Yeah.
Just the basics of how to tell a story, how to create a strong central character people relate to, and what even is a movie, because the lines are getting so blurred. As a film teacher now, I see that if you say your assignment is to go make a 1-minute movie, well, they'll go do trick shots. They'll go do a prank video or a music video. And it's like, okay, that was great. You learned, I can see that you went for excellence there, and that's awesome, but that's not a story. And so the lines are very blurry related to that now. So we teach classic, timeless, cinema.
All right.
Visual storytelling.
All right. We have our first question here from Facebook. Sarah, thanks for joining us. And Sarah asked, what age should you start teaching filmmaking? My 7-year-old is showing interest, but I'm not sure he is old enough.
Great question. When I made the company and the course, Film School for Teens, Intro to Filmmaking, I really thought I was making a course for high school students. We made it so they could get credit. But if you analyze our numbers, we have more middle schoolers taking the course than high schoolers, and more girls than boys. So middle school girls are my sweet spot. They just want to start creating. We have students as young as 9. I don't think we have any 7-year-olds taking it, but I've had parents of 9-year-olds come up and say, do you think my child's too young? And after interacting with the kid or seeing work that they've done, I'm like, absolutely not. It's time to start giving this child guidance, because as soon as they're interested in something, that is the moment to start training up that child in the way they should go.
Yeah.
Like, you know, and at an age appropriate level. So we're not going to, Sarah, I wouldn't suggest you put your kid in front of Citizen Kane, because so often when we teach the arts, we make the mistake of trying to push sort of structure and rules too quickly, and having expectations of a certain quality level too quickly. Because just that love of an art form, whether it's film, I love to hear that, or it's dance or a musical instrument or painting. Our job is to teach our child to love that art, and then the excellence will follow. Because if you push excellence right off the bat, you run the risk of just dousing that flame. Because, you know, Sarah, I don't know why your 7-year-old is interested in filmmaking, but it's probably just something magical that structure and rules can start to squash. So when I teach filmmaking, man, I just try and maintain the wonder of it. Sure, I'm teaching all those things, but at the heart of it, I'm just saying, man, you have something to say. Here's a great way to say it. And it is the most influential medium of this century. I consider it the highest art form because it's a collaboration of all the other ones.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, for me, I loved movies because it was an escape for me. I could escape into, and I could be in that movie for that time period, and so that's you know, and still sometimes there is that part of it. My wife, you know, hates it because, you know, when I watch a movie, I'm very critical, and I'm always seeing the mistakes and always seeing all the goof ups and everything else. And she's like, just don't tell me anymore. I don't care. And and I'm like, okay, I already got this film figured out. In 15 to 20 minutes. I don't want to know. I just want, okay. But it is, you know, and we're not talking about, you know, we're trying to send everybody out to Hollywood and they're going to be, you know, the next big time director, the next you know, big, because what you're saying is, I mean, you know, part of the cool thing of when you teach a story, if you use storytelling and the things about the videos and shooting movies and everything else, there's so many integral little parts of it. And who knows what they're going to like, and who knows what they're going to be able to do with that in the future, no matter what career.
Yeah, absolutely. And I also talk about what we teach as being a life skill. You know, like when I was in junior high, there was, I think it was 8th grade, I had to take like 12 weeks of wood shop, 12 weeks of metal shop, and 12 weeks of home ec. And as I'm in there in the home ec class, you know, making pies, and I was in the wood shop and I'm making like a chess table. Yeah, I thought, this isn't really, I don't know that I need to know this stuff. But when you're an adult and you have to get something done in the kitchen or in the wood shop, out in the shed, you know, just to make a door stop sticking, those skills come into play. They're life skills that we learned. And media skills are life skills. I don't care what you do, whether it's ministry or work, or you're looking for work, or you're just trying to serve your friends and family with those skills. Media skills are a life skill. It's everywhere.
Yeah. And
you can level yourself up by just being the guy in the room who knows, you know, how to pull off this little video thing. I hear about it all the time. It's crazy. The types of assignments they're giving now in college. You know, it's an anthropology class, but oh yeah, we had to make this movie, like Indiana Jones style movie, for an anthropology assignment, and they were really frustrated because, you know, it's like asking the film students to write a paper on ancient cultures.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sympathize with that. It's outside your skill set, but the world doesn't care. The world is saying, no, we're media driven. Right now, you and I, Sam, are plop square in the middle of media, and it's just constant. So we all better at least take driver's ed. You know, I can liken it to driver's ed too. We put devices in our children's hands, which can kill them metaphorically, if not literally, and kill others with just their words and their how they use your devices is it's their potential casualties. Well, then I guess we need driver's ed. Just like if you put your kid behind the wheel of a car, you're going to teach them how to drive it.
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about devices. We're going to put them in your hands, but you're going to, think long and hard and process and maybe take this class on it, using it to its full potential and using it for good and not for evil.
Yes. And there's a lot of evil, and there's a lot of evil things out there that kids can get themselves into.
Yeah.
The TikTok, even though it's going away here in America here pretty soon,
Right.
it's I've seen some really amazing TikTok stories.
Yeah.
But I can't go on there because who knows what the next story for your that pops up and who's going to answer to what or whatever. I mean, it's just and I always tell the kids to stay away from it because it is it could be used for good, and I think that's I've seen people take when our kids were growing up, we kind of did the same thing. We didn't really know what we were doing or anything else, but we got a bunch of homeschool kids and we did a film and we had no hardly any equipment. We had a nice camera, we had some sound equipment, we had some lighting, but everything else we had to just kind of make do. And that week was a blast.
Right.
I mean, you talk about just one, getting to know people, two, having them learn all these different things of lighting and sound, and us teaching them, because we didn't know what people would like and what they wouldn't like, or, because they had never done anything like that, but what we've seen after that is, one girl, she was really good at editing. And that's what she went to school for, was editing. And who knows? I mean, she would have never been able to find that out, without.
You unlocked something there.
Yeah. I mean, and
that could have been buried forever.
Yes. And the other ones, they utilize this for jobs, when they find jobs and, being able to stand out, be able to rise up in their jobs and ministry. I mean, wow. I mean, on the ministry side, anybody knows how to do some work there, from lighting to sound to film. It's amazing.
You can doors have opened for me in some really cool ways because I know how to work the equipment and I'm a good storyteller. So I have clients that come back to me repeatedly, even though it's a very competitive space. There's lots of people calling them up and saying, would you hire us for your next video because we'll do it for half price or whatever. And these clients stay with me because I've proven myself not only as to deliver a good product, but just to be effective, in an overseas high pressure, rigorous environment. So having those skills has opened doors. And when I was a kid, someone, it was an ex-girlfriend, gave me the book, Oh, the Places You'll Go, by Dr. Seuss.
Oh yeah.
When I look at it now, it's like prophetic because I had no idea at the time. I was a pretty unfocused, adolescent and young adult. But those media skills have, like I mentioned, I've been to about 50 countries and some crazy places during crazy times. I landed in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, 2 days after the earthquake, on behalf of Food for the Hungry, filming carnage everywhere, just seeing unspeakable stuff.
Oh wow.
And that wasn't a trip I really wanted to take, but it's cool to be able to be used in that way.
Yeah,
Not a lot of purpose.
Yeah, I mean, and that's amazing, and to be able to then turn around and teach, and a lot of times, homeschoolers, we always hear, are we going to ruin them? Are we, are they going to be socialized? Are they going to be this?
Right.
Are they going to be that? we have, I mean, as homeschooling parents, we have an opportunity to take advantage of us homeschooling by via people like you, to be able to then take your knowledge and your learning and then give it to the kids in a fun, unique, and yours is all online. And
yeah. Thanks for asking, and thanks for that endorsement. Yes, all our courses are online, video-based, and self-paced. I think you have our website there if you want to just pull that up, and I'll throw in a quick plug. So our company is Film School for Teens. You can use that URL, filmschoolforteens.com, with a 4 as the number 4 in place of the word 4. Easier way to do it is just FS4T, which is, the letters of Film School for Teens. It's always the number 4 there. I think it's on screen. Yeah. FS4T.com. And that's just the homepage you can see there. We have a lot of video content, as you might expect. It's all very fun. I recommend you go to the page if you're at all interested. You'll just get a sense for our vibe. We have a lot of fun. We pack a lot of humor into our teaching. Our reviews are constantly about just how fun the course is. We show a lot of movie clips. So it's school that you're learning a ton, but it just doesn't feel like school because there's my family. It just doesn't feel like school because we're showing you, clips from Marvel movies. Because when we teach classic cinematic storytelling, we do you the favor of showing you Pixar movies or Marvel movies instead of, old black and white Akira Kurosawa movies, which is what they would teach here at this university where I work as well. So anyway, Film School for Teens, that's the website. There's 3 of the courses: Intro, Acting for the Screen, and YouTube for Teens. Maybe Advanced Filmmaking is down below. That's weekly mentoring, like I mentioned. If you if you reach out to us, I can give you a promo code for 25% off. So I don't have that promo code to name right now because I'd have to set it up. But we do this all the time. So if you just reach out to us, contact us through the website and say, looking for that promo code you mentioned on Sam's show on Facebook, then we're happy to send it back to you.
And that's now the YouTube for Teens. I'm hearing this a lot. The people wanted to jump on, be YouTube stars, or at least understand, the whole thought. What do you do, or how, kind of go over a little bit of the course that you teach.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, I personally I'm not a YouTuber myself. Yeah, I have a few channels and we put stuff up there, but I'm not trying to grow a YouTube channel in order to get subscribers and ultimately monetize it. I just have a whole different, business model.
Yeah.
But I partnered with professional YouTubers to create this course. Again, very entertaining way to learn the practical steps to start and grow a YouTube channel. I was actually pretty fascinated to learn about just all these little tricks to make your channel sticky and make it so that when someone finishes one of your videos, you can pop up, little cards to reference other of your videos. So the thing about YouTube, and the thing that we say in the course, is your odds of becoming YouTube famous are about the same or even worse than becoming Hollywood famous.
Yeah.
The only difference is you don't have to be the best looking and you don't have to be the most talented. You just have to work the hardest.
Yeah.
So if you have a channel that's about, makeup, you might get a lot of discouragement from people because there are a zillion makeup channels out there. But YouTubing is very hard work. And most people start strong and fizzle out just because of the weekly grind. Sam, and every week you have the things that you do and they come around so fast. Has it already been a week?
Yes.
And YouTube is like that, you know, or like you just gotta. The first couple are easy because they're top of mind, and
Oh
you're all
yeah.
everyone has energy, and then the third one you're like, what's our idea again, and what are we gonna do, and we didn't really
Yep.
get that many subscribers last time. Like, is it even worth it? Very quickly, you start to ask, is this even worth it? But that's anything in life. That's
Yeah.
anything you endeavor to do. So we walk them through all the steps to work harder than everybody else to develop a successful plan, and then all the ways that you can monetize YouTube beyond, ad, what is it called, AdSense,
Yeah.
where they give you a percentage of or a certain amount of pennies per view. There's a whole bunch of other ways you can monetize YouTube, and yeah, it's been great. The kids, when they're done, they send us their channels, and I imagine most will fizzle and some will stay. But
It's part of learning.
whether or not
You
they
know?
do, they learn basic entrepreneurial. It's
Yes.
just like taking a business class.
Yes. And that's one. I mean, I love the entrepreneurship and even I mean on all of this is kind of like trying to get the kids to really see that lifetime learning is really cool because you never know, going back
Yeah.
to the book, the places you will go. I mean, it kind of
Yeah.
goes back to that because you never know one where God's going to lead you, and what things you can do, and inside of homeschooling, what better place to be able to
Yeah.
get some of this information and get that love and get your kids to kind of
Hmm.
see these different things, and it all hits that, like the YouTube for teens. You wouldn't think just taking a class that, if they want to be a YouTuber, if they want to be that, where you might be able to teach them the entrepreneur side of it and be able to kind of see like, hey, I don't like to be in front of the camera, but I love
Yeah.
being a producer. I love being a director, because I see it, but I don't want to be the one
Yeah.
that people see,
Yeah. We also, within YouTube, the YouTube course, every section, it's 12 sections. We include what we call a deep thought. You might remember Deep Thoughts with Jack Handy from
Yeah.
SNL days, but this has nothing to do with that. These are because in my view, YouTube, the prospect of YouTube introduces a lot of huge questions about yourself, about your worldview. So we
Mhm.
leverage, their interest in YouTube to ask those big questions. We call them deep thoughts. And so they range from, well, just what is your why? So right out of the gate, what is your why? And we always have to ask ourselves that, because if your why is off, you won't have success, because even if you have financial success, you're not fulfilled. Your why has to be really connected to kind of your calling, something you're very naturally passionate about. So if you're not passionate about a certain subject, don't go and try and make that your channel just because you think it's going to get a lot of subscribers. Ranging to so as far as the deep thoughts, another example is what's the difference between excellence and perfectionism? So we're sitting with some kids in the course, and just to be able to talk about that, like both of those sound like maybe positive things. Excellence, pursuing excellence, sounds great. Perfectionism, what could be wrong with that? Oh, but there is a dark side of perfectionism.
Yes.
There's a dark side. Perfectionism can breed discontentment for yourself, for your relationships. And so you have to guard against perfectionism for its negative qualities. So it's really cool to be able to just backdoor some of these deeper concepts for students with a topic that they are naturally interested in.
Okay.
So they say, I want my videos to be awesome. All right, let's talk about pursuing excellence and versus having a sense of perfectionism, which is going to, bring you a more happiness or bring others more happiness. Yeah.
I mean that's awesome. I mean that's a whole nother side that I mean and that's why I love doing this, because then we get to really see more why you've put into this, and it's quite excellent. The one thing I just saw, you have a classic and a charter version
Yeah. Right.
of these. What's the difference?
Yeah. Thanks for asking. I made this course kind of, from my own garage, and had no idea. Like at the time, I was like, who am I going to market to? And we were homeschoolers, and so I made it perfectly suited for my homeschool community, which is a fairly faith-based community. And so, in the classic version of the course, we're very free to discuss films or discuss our own story ideas from like you're hanging out with fellow believers, and just being free with that. And then we realized that so many students across the country homeschool using funds that come from the government. And in those cases, they want it to be all non-religious. So we didn't have to gut it at all. We just had to kind of, take out a few parts just to make it compliant with the charter systems, especially in California and Alaska. Those communities get quite a lot of subsidizing from the government. So we can take charter funds. So it's helped us grow, helped us get in front of, into the lives of hundreds and hundreds of students now. And I, have a lifelong relationship with some of these young artists now, just because we're able to create that charter version. So charter is always, so I don't want to call it non-faith based, because like it's still there. We just don't name names,
Gotcha.
in a way that would disqualify us.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now, have you seen one of your students come through and, have this really profound change of direction and course, or, have you seen do you have any really cool story about one of the students that have come through and just, maybe a life thing or?
Yeah, well, we're 3 years into this, 2.5 actually. And so we're a little bit new to see kind of the end, not the end, but a really distant chapter of that story. But I'm sitting here at Huntington University, where my offices are. I teach a couple classes here, and a lot of the kids that come to the door have taken my course, or one of our courses. So it's very gratifying to see a passion get ignited, like the story you were telling about your childhood friend, or no, it was one of the kids you were one of the adults in that group. Yeah, just to see unlock some interest that they didn't know they had. And here they are at film school. This is a film school. You're only here to study film. And I'd be like, this is so cool. But I think one of the huge blessings for me has been seeing a special needs community responding to us, particularly autistic families with an autistic child. We have a number of written testimonials and one video testimonial of parents thanking us for what we created, because it was just very autistic friendly. One parent described it. She goes, "Well, you had all the scaffolding in place." So, I'm not really an education guru. I'm not sure if that's a commonly used term, but I could picture what she's talking about. Yeah. The scaffolding's in place. And, there are just a lot of, homeschoolers in general are underserved. And then especially when you get into special needs, we've reached out to the deaf community, and they're interested in working with us. So it's just been really cool to see students and families kind of just find what they were praying for.
Okay.
And they, because you do, you'll find stuff. If you go and search for it, you'll find stuff, but there's always just something a little wonky about it. It's either a brick and mortar thing that's not in your town, or just some kind of wacky thing. So I think we just created something that's really filling a need for families, and their gratitude to us is very evident. So that's been the biggest blessing.
That's awesome. And I will, anybody who is homeschooling or brand new to homeschooling, because you did the COVID schooling and now you're homeschooling, anybody looking for something that is creative, that is something that you want your kids to not just, do a one or two little videos on your phone or whatever, and to really learn filmmaking, creative,
Hmm.
you know,
Hmm.
um, even acting. You have an acting class, really
Hmm.
check out the film school for teens, the fs4t.com, because it's really cool. And your kids, you might unlock something that you have no clue that's going to be there. And one, we need more Christians in filmmaking.
Yeah.
That's something that's more and more that's starting to happen.
Yeah.
Thankfully now that we do have gear that's readily
Hmm.
available, and that cost has come down. But I think it's more people like you kind of sharing their gift and their love of filmmaking, because I can tell you, kids will enjoy learning some of these pieces. I haven't taken a class, but looking through and just knowing you and everything, you know, uh, they're going to learn what angles, they're going to learn the wording, and they're going to learn there's a whole world when it comes to
Hmm.
the creative filmmaking process.
Yeah.
And it all goes
Yeah.
back to something, if we're talking in the Christian community and everything else, it all goes back to story. You can
Yeah.
have beautiful, I mean, look at some of the Hollywood films that they spend $50 million on and they lose 150 somehow. The it can be as pretty, it can have great
Yeah.
sound, it can have,
Yeah.
if it does not have story. And when
Yeah.
we're talking in the Christian community, what Jesus used was stories, you
Absolutely.
and parables and ways
Hmm.
to understand. So you're going to be teaching them the art of the story, you know.
That's right.
So it might not be a film that they like, but it's going to potentially unlock something to the creative juices flowing of maybe writing and this, because there are so many things that's involved inside of filmmaking. The
Yeah. And within that course, I don't know, I don't think I mentioned this, that intro to filmmaking course is very comprehensive because it teaches filmmaking, which you've been describing, but also film analysis and film history, both for the purposes of just giving a well-rounded understanding of film and story and its evolution over the last century plus. But there's been nothing more influential to culture than movies. And so our film analysis section of the course is one that we also get thanked for a lot, because if you do it all, I recommend 17 different movies, and there are questions. Then the students do a film report, answering questions that are specifically tied to that movie. And just that experience alone, well, I'm thinking of breaking it apart as a separate film analysis course, because that skill, what we're fostering is critical thinking and discernment. So, we want to prepare. It's kind of like that driver's ed analogy again. We got to prepare. You won't, yeah, PG-13 exists, but that's not enforceable. R-rated movies is a thing, but man, your kids turn 17 before you know it. I have 3 over 17 now, and they still will ask us, if we're okay with them watching something, just because that's our culture. But we got to prepare our students to be able to appreciate beauty and detect little Trojan horses
yeah.
in the messages that we're putting into our minds. And so we talk about all that, and we go through those exercises. The films that we watch aren't all G-rated Disney films. We go up to PG-13. Yes, there's some language. We have to have some conversations with parents about that. Some people want absolutely no, 4-letter words in their home, and I respect that. But for me in my house, we're going to prepare. We're going to be aware of what's out there. We're going to take every thought captive to Christ. That's what we teach. But so that film analysis piece is such a fun thing to do as a family, because if you saw the list, Sam, you'd go, this is an incredible list of films. I should share with you. They really are. And families are doing it all together, like on a Sunday night, and going through the questions and just creating that habit
Oh wow.
of if you're a parent and you're not in the habit of, driving home from the movie, trying to get more of your money's worth, even if it's a Marvel movie, because when we drive home from a Marvel movie, we're talking protagonist, antagonist, motivation, arc, just because
Okay.
I just spent $50.
Yeah. I need to get more out of it.
Right.
They have $50 for the movie and then $80 for popcorn.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and that's and and it's really cool because it just shows that when you do it, when you have the skill, when you build the stuff. I mean, I can't say more about it because it's not just film. I mean, you're teaching, like you said, discernment, which,
Mhm.
Trojan
Yeah.
horses, that these are important things just in life itself. And inside the
Yeah.
church, they need to watch because, there's these movements that are small little Trojan horses coming into the church, and from books and music and, you know, uh,
Right.
even worship music sometimes that are in there, that
Yeah.
they have to have that discernment. And for to get that critical eye and discernment, I think the world needs more discernment and a critical eye, and that learning from seeing
Yeah.
where people are coming from. So, I mean, the courses sound absolutely excellent. And anybody looking to get their student involved in something like this, or even out there, the pricing isn't bad at all to go in,
Yeah.
and what you're going to be able to get out of it. I love that you have the being able to watch the movies and have questions and go through that.
Mhm.
And we did kind of the same thing when it came to language. Um, we tried age appropriate, and we did our best, but they're going to be out there in the world, whether there be friends or
Yeah.
colleagues or whatever. But I utilize it as, all right, if you're going to make this film, did that really need to be there? That, kind of look at that stuff. And that's something that I just, try to teach our kids of, when we're looking at this stuff, did they even need to have that language in there? Did they even have to do that? And sometimes,
Yeah.
it's not necessary, but there's a reason behind it. At least, it's
Yeah.
not just flagrant F
Right.
bombs everywhere.
Right. Right. Yeah. We always kind of just talk about gratuitous
Yeah.
and then germane to the story. My standards are probably looser than a lot of people, but that's because I really with my kids, I'm all about their hearts, and if something comes out of their mouth I don't like, my main concern is, where's your heart?
Yeah.
Let's analyze that. We can fix your mouth. I grew up in a non-Christian environment, and swearing was very common in my world. And I've spent my whole life just filtering because it's my native tongue.
Yeah.
For a lot of us, it's our native tongue. It's just, you grew up hearing it, so we filter, and there's that. But then let's really look at your heart, because even if I, call you a stupid, dumb, poopy head, if in my heart I have wrath toward you, Sam, well, I may as well just be screaming expletives at you.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, and that's
Yeah.
a great thing. We have another question that popped up here.
Hmm.
Stacia, what are some of the special events that you do?
Yeah, we have done uh, a few different film challenges, which have been such great experiences during. I was doing film challenges locally here in Phoenix, for kind of a different thing I'm involved with. A film challenge, a 48-hour film challenge, is where you would make a team and you go to a kickoff event or you catch it online, and we provide some requirements for a film you're going to make in the next 48 hours, a prop, a line of dialogue, and a character. And then after that 48 hours, you have to have it submitted, and So when quarantine hit, we sponsored one and then two 72-hour family film challenges where we, said, well, you're supposed to just be with your family. So why don't you use that opportunity to make a little movie? And on Friday night, or maybe it was like Thursday night, we did the kickoff, we gave the requirements, and we pushed it through our Film School for Teens community, but it was really just open to everybody. And we got huge response, somewhere near 100 submissions, narrowed it down to, I don't know, 10 or 15 finalists, and did a Facebook Live, where we showed them and opened it up. I got a little software thing that enabled us to take text votes. So you text in your vote for your favorite, and we awarded pretty significant monetary. All the entrance fees just went back to prizes. So that was a cool experience. Like, the quality level was amazing because mom and dad could get involved now, because I'm used to student films. I kind of get a sense for where students are at and what they're going to pull off on their own. But some of these were just like, whoa. And some were just student led. The kid who won, he's now one of my students. I was so blown away with his little film, and I'm like, I'm gonna remember this kid, even if you don't become one of our students. I'm gonna follow you because I'm pretty sure you'll be successful at this. So really cool. So film challenges. We have a film festival we do coming up here. It'll be in January this year. The film festival is like a film challenge, only you have all year to make that movie, and it can be up to 5 minutes long for this one. We do workshops just locally so far. So, we just gather some of my local students together and do a workshop on like how to film a fight scene or how to choreograph a fight scene and film it.
Okay.
So our mission is just to keep growing to the point where I can, I have about 4 jobs right now. They're all great experiences for me, but this is my focus. Film School for Teens and serving this community is my passion. It's where I want to go. So as soon as I can do that pretty much full time, my wife's doing it full time, but I want to do it full time and do more of those kinds of workshops and challenges and just help serve this community.
Okay. I absolutely love it. I think we should talk. I would love to be able to do something together and through the Homeschool Connect Expo and to do something, and get the kids involved and the families involved, like you said. I think that'd be a really cool.
Yeah, they just need a little prompting. It's amazing what people do with a little prompting, because we all have like ideas of things we want to do, but we don't do it until it becomes on the calendar. This is what we're doing, and there's a deadline.
I think it'll be fun. And keep us, informed of other things. And I know we're going to be doing more and more of these with you to kind of go through, because I think this is a great way, for parents to get their kids involved in something creative that might not be banned, that might not be something, that fits alongside what a lot of people are watching movies now. A lot of people are looking at this stuff, and it is, something I absolutely love to do, and I love the creative process. So I really appreciate you putting this into, a class that you have, and to teach kids. And like we've talked about, I mean, this isn't just filmmaking. I mean, there's so many life lessons and so many things that you have inside there, on there. So one thing, I know you have the intro to filmmaking, for a parent or even a teen that's looking and watching this, what might be one thing that you might tell them, if they want to kind of advance their filmmaking? Do you have like one thing that you might be able, a little nugget that you might be able to offer, let people know the one thing that they might be able to try to do, or?
Good question. And
I'm
I'm on the fly.
putting-
I'm trying not to like launch into lesson 4,
I
visual
know.
storytelling. Because
I
I'm like
always tell people sound.
oh yeah,
That's
just
me.
the importance of sound.
The one, I would tell them, like, you can have junky video, but you got to have a decent sound. People won't watch
Yeah,
it. It's a bad
yeah,
sound, but
yeah.
that's my go-to,
It's
but
a good one. And as Steven Spielberg said, sound is half the picture. And
yeah,
so if you could think of like who are the most visual directors I can think of, Steven Spielberg is going to end up on that list.
yeah,
And yet, this master of visual storytelling said sound is half the picture. So you're right on the money with that, Sam. But sound's a very difficult thing to achieve. It's an art form unto itself.
mhm,
So I don't disagree with you at all. I just know that it's the thing that even it doesn't get enough love from me in my productions. I'm a visual guy too. So it's not a great answer to your question. The thing that I think holds people back is our excuses about their gear. So I have a lot of conversations with people who come up and want to talk to me about gear, about this new camera or this new software. And I just sit there and nod and smile and wait for my turn to go, gear doesn't really matter. And they, because I think what they do is they postpone the doing of something with the excuse of I don't yet have the tools.
yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah, but you so do. You so have everything you need right there. Is it more difficult, or is it like I don't like editing on a phone? My fingers are somewhat
Yeah.
chunky. Kids do it really fast. I'm like,
Yeah.
but so my first thing is like, yeah, just stop making excuses and then just start creating. I don't know, that's not really a great one thing tip. The one thing would be just like tell a story,
Yeah.
tell a short, simple story. There's a lot of overreach that happens with young filmmakers because like you'll sit them down and go, okay, what are your ideas? And they're like, okay, so we start in space and then this, and you're going, all right, okay. Do you know how to shoot a scene in space? And they just don't think about the logistics of things. So
Yeah.
I'm always like, tell you what, let's take that scene. We'll put it on the interior of the spaceship, and it can be a room, and it could be your garage. Dress it up with some stuff, and we're not going to show the ship in space, firing lasers at some planet. So I'm always just trying to make things a more achievable, little simple story, have a plot. And so in my filmmaking course, we teach classic story structure.
Okay.
Which someone might say, well, that's not very artistic. Well, it starts there. Like Picasso said, learn the rules like a pro so you can break them like an artist.
Yep.
All of the greats know the fundamentals. They just know how to manipulate them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Well, I mean, you look at even sports. I mean, you go to, any practice of NBA practice or whatever. What are they going to be doing? They're going to be dribbling.
Just
they're going to be shooting.
Just drill.
And then they just know how to tweak those things to make it better for them. But the fundamentals are still going to be exactly the same. So that's a really cool lesson to be able to teach. And man, I mean, for anybody out there, I mean, take advantage of. I mean, you have so much gear. Like we talked about in the beginning, we didn't have gear when we were younger. We didn't have this stuff, and you have so much. And we did 2 movies, and our first movie, it was just all volunteers. It was just helpers, and we taught all the kids, how to do everything. The second one, we brought in a couple. We had a little extra money. We brought in a couple of people from Hollywood that were like lighting pros that did it for
Wow.
movies and everything else, and
Wow.
paid them a little bit of money. And and what we're trying to teach the kids is, okay, you might have thought, okay, this is a cheap production and this, we couldn't make it this work or anything else. But when the pros got there, they were doing the same thing. They were using saran wrap and like a light and to make this
Sure,
really
yeah.
thing. And they're like, okay, we can do this over here. And we can, and the kids were like totally shocked of like, like even one of those beginning scenes where, it's the camera's in the tree and it moves down and everything
Big
else.
jib shot. Yeah.
Yeah. They cut a limb off and they, if you don't have a big we just cut a limb off
Branch as leverage.
and some kids hold on to it.
That's awesome.
But it made it look like, I'm like, but that's what, shows and things do,
Absolutely. Oh yeah. On professional sets, there are really expensive tools that can do that, but sometimes, so like a dolly, for instance, a nice dolly rig can be pretty expensive. Does a skateboard work too? Yeah. Yeah. Not quite as well.
Yeah.
Not quite as well. Skateboard's $45. The dolly rig's $4,500. So yeah, crunch those numbers. I'm not sure what will come out, but
we did a car scene and we didn't let any of the kids do the car scene because it just was probably not the smartest way of doing it. But yeah, we're hanging onto a hood, that was before, the GoPros and all these other ones, we just had a big camera. I mean, it was a nice big camera. And you couldn't stuff it on the dash,
Someone's got to be out there.
Someone has to be out there, and we didn't have a big rig. We just had a little car trailer and pulled the car up and, had to make do.
We caution against that. Like I've seen a lot of that happen, with ambitious young filmmakers of just doing unsafe things.
Yeah.
I respect the initiative, but it's not worth loss of life or loss of health.
No. And now you got all this other stuff where you can get shots that you can't even do it. But,
oh gosh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate the time that you've given us. I just hope all the people watching this check out the website fs4t.com, Film School for Teens. And go check out their booth at the Homeschool Connect Expo, and you get all kinds of information. But reach out to Damon and get your kids involved. Because I think this would be a great thing for any students, any middle schoolers or teens, looking to add something for the creative part. So. Any last thoughts before we wrap it up?
Well, no, I appreciate that. You asking them to reach out to us, and like I said, if you use the contact button on the website fs4t.com, you can send us a note and just request a promo code for 25% off, and we'll send that back to you. And then if you want to watch any of my family films or my independent films, those are all at cabinfeverfilms.org. If you're going to go to one, go to FS14 and become a student, and we'll have a forever relationship. But if you want to put your kids in front of dozens of family-friendly movies that I'm very proud of, go to cabinfeverfilms.org. And that literally happens all the time, where someone will say, we went to the site and then it was nighttime. Like they just spent the whole day watching all of our films because they're just pretty fun to watch. So
okay, awesome.
Little plug there.
There we go.
But thank you, Sam, for the time today.
Hey, no problem. I know we'll be speaking more, and we'll go through and love to see if we can collaborate and do some things. So appreciate it. And everybody check out Homeschool Connect Expo, share this video, keep on your comments. We'll make sure Damon gets them. But just thank you. And we will see you again tomorrow.